I want to talk about outsourcing your job to China.
Oh my goodness.
Load up that CNN article. So there's this dude, and I mean, I'd heard about these before on Reddit, where people kind of, they end up at companies and they're not really sure what they do because, there was a corporate reshuffling and this sort of stuff. I'll talk a bit more about this in a minute. But basically, there's this ordinary dude. He's working for this tech company in the US, and he essentially just finds some dude in China who will do all of the programming for him. And I think in my mind, I was like, is it working? Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, it's working. We've got this little thing at the top.
So many. So
many pop-ups.
I really feel like I'm in two minds about this, installing an ad blocker, because it would make this a whole lot better. I'd also I make a living from ads.
I was going to say, I'm also a marketer, so that's pretty hypocritical.
I definitely have an ad. I mean, I'd use no ad blockers.
No,
right?
no,
whatsoever.
No. What's an ad blocker?
I thought this must be some young dude, right, who works for a tech company, and he's like, all right, I could do this. No, this guy's like a lifetime loyal, middle-aged, suit-wearing not exec, but in the company for a long time.
Here's the description. Bob was an inoffensive and quiet programmer in his mid-40s, according to the employer profile, with a relatively long tenure with the company, and someone you wouldn't look twice at in an elevator, which is both kind and terrible.
Yeah, it's just average
dude. Joe.
There's a guy later on who is much younger and kind of who you imagine in your mind when you think of a story like this. Anyway, so he outsources it. And basically, the company found out. It went on for years. The company found out because they thought that they were doing a project. It doesn't actually mention it in the article. I found it on a different one.
Okay.
That the company he works for was doing work for the US DoD, like the Department of Defense.
What?
And so they had an extra security audit.
Chinese person.
Right. So they did a security audit on the data that was coming in and out, because if you're programming a missile or whatever for the DoD, it's there's going to be some checks.
Security, yeah.
So after years, there's this high security project, and someone keeps logging in from China, really surreptitiously, using what was it called? It was called an RSA key or something.
Okay.
RSA token.
Oh yeah.
Which apparently is some physical device you use to, when you check your internet banking,
like a dongle.
Right. I now use apps on the phones, but I remember when internet banking first came out, you get this device that they'd send you through the mail that looked like a weird calculator. Did you ever have one of these?
No, I didn't know.
Okay, so you'd get this, and then you'd press a button. It would generate a number that you'd need to put in when you log into your internet banking.
All right.
Which was what? It was ridiculous.
Well, because even now you do still have to generate RSA keys, but they're all done through apps.
Okay. Well, there you go. Okay. Well, this was when pre-app, I guess. He FedExed this RSA key to the outsourced guy that he'd hired in China.
In China.
Right. So it sends it all the way over there, and so the details of it was essentially, he was getting paid a six-figure salary. So he's dude, programmers make a ton of money.
Oh, a ton of money, a lot of money. Yeah, God, it's one of those things that if you go into a boot camp, which might cost you however many thousands of dollars,
but you get a job afterwards.
No, you get a job afterwards. Because there's a massive demand for programmers, and they are really highly paid.
I got a few friends who work in that industry, and not as programmers. One's an exec, one's also an exec, and we were taught they live here in Prague. They work for American companies, but they're based here, running development teams and things like this. I'm not really sure. It's very confusing. They were saying they are from Seattle and this kind of place, and a developer will leave university, having decent university or whatever, start at six figures.
Yeah.
I'm what sort of job? I remember when I was at university and I wanted to be an investment banker because I was that's where the money is.
Money.
Right. And this was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. An investment banker at Goldman Sachs would pull in $35K and another 35 on bonuses. So maybe you were getting to 100K.
Not worth
but
the
this
stress.
was an investment banker at Goldman Sachs working 100 hours a week in the highest paid entry-level job in London.
Yeah, that's not worth it. Not worth the effort.
If you can
go and learn code.
I'm not making an argument about whether it's worth it or not, because I'm sure these programmers also work insane hours and it's really tricky work. I thought it would be worth it. I'm not smart enough. I thought it would be worth it, and I'll be I'll definitely get into this. I could, sacrifice a few years, but it's just how much more the programmers make in the States and how much more money people make in the States in general these days. Because I don't think it used to be like that, but it's got those entry-level salaries and exec salaries have got crazy.
The thing is, code has got really clever. Like, so there was a long period where people were sort of learning to code, and they were doing sort of like HTML and sort of building websites and stuff like that. Now, in order for companies to be at the front, they need to be like the best. Like, have all the best graphics, have the best ads, and the best this, that, and the other. And for that, you need the best coders.
So is this kind of? But then they were
it's kind of
saying,
they pay people because you're going to make the company millions, and that ultimately is what it is. Like,
are these salaries for like the best? Or is this because I just got the feeling this was like entry level? You go to a decent university, not necessarily Ivy League, and boom, 100K.
I don't even think you need to go to university to learn to code. Like as
no,
in,
I mean I agree, but I'm saying that companies will want
people do like sort of 3 month
the boot camps,
and stuff like that, and then they go and get 100 grand a month. It's crazy.
A month? No, a year. No one's making 1.2 a year out of a 3-month coding boot camp. Supply and demand doesn't just says no, Sam.
Maybe I'm wrong.
100K a month.
Sorry, 100K a year. That's what I meant.
That's believable.
Yeah, that's believable. But no,
I'm sure some coders make 100K a month, but you're like 10 years in at Facebook or something.
Yeah, fair enough.
So this guy outsources it. He's got a 6-figure salary. It was like 150K or whatever. And he outsources, he pays a fifth of it to this dude in China just to do it. And then he does nothing. Jump down this page.
Yeah. I think this is genius, actually. This is, for me, the best entrepreneurial genius ever. You know, it's like...
Just stop. This is it. Just go up to here. I want to talk about his day.
Okay.
So this dude... and wait, go up, because it says a forensic image of Bob's workstation. So the investigation revealed this. This isn't just some dude being like, yeah, that's what Bob did all day. 9 a.m. Get to work. Surf Reddit. Watch cat videos. 11:30 a.m. Lunch. I guess he was bored. Like,
yeah.
11:30 a.m.
early. That's
lunch,
early. Yeah. You got there at 9.
Until 1 a.m. An hour and a half for lunch when he does eBay for an hour. Then from 2 p.m. he does Facebook and LinkedIn. And then at 4:30 he sends an end-of-day email update to management. And at 5 p.m. he goes home. So this guy...
What was he doing on LinkedIn? He definitely wasn't looking for another job, I'll tell you that much.
He was probably hiring people out of China.
Yeah.
He was like, hi, looking for someone. Discreet professional. So yeah, and he was really good at his job. People praised him. They said he could have been one of the best coders in the building. Yeah.
Well, good old Chinaman. I mean, that's like I'm in two minds about this, because I sort of feel that where I understand he was working for the DoD, this is definitely not a job he should be outsourcing. I kind of feel like sometimes you can't do a particular job and it needs outsourcing, and if it needs outsourcing, then that's not a problem. However, he didn't exactly like refill his day with useful activities. He could have been a bit more productive on that end, but
I feel he would have been. It's the difference between like the good employee would be like, hey, we can outsource this to China and I'll do other stuff all day for you guys.
Yeah.
But he's going to be like, yeah, or I could not. Because I think there's a point where you're like, oh, I'm in my mid-40s. It's okay. I can just chill. I can just chill. Although, I mean, this is probably going to be quite difficult to get another job now, right? He's probably not going to get a great reference.
Well, I don't suppose you're really going to mention it, are you?
Well, dude, you're going to go to an interview at another job and someone's going to be like, all right, so I need to contact your former employer.
Or
of 6 years.
Or you just say, I was
in prison?
I was on a sabbatical?
I was on a 6-year sabbatical.
6-year coding sabbatical.
All I remember from university and like careers counselling or whatever, which obviously did me a great lot of good. I say that sarcastically. I really did.
You've ended up on the other side, so that's fine. Yeah.
I do. And like, as sarcastic as I am, I do think careers counsellors are absolutely super useful because they can help you think things through as a kid that you wouldn't think. And not important. Discussion for another day.
I nearly signed up to the RAF when I was younger, thanks to
did?
Yeah, very, very close. I had the paper and everything, and was like, due to my very pushy careers counselling. So
wait, your careers counsellor at school wanted you to join the military?
No, I wanted to join the military, but they nearly signed me up at 16. I was very.
You can sign up to the military at 16?
You can't now, but you could when I was young.
Wow.
Back in the day.
What as like
as going into like pilot training. Like that was.
Oh, okay. So not to just go to war.
I
suppose it's RAF.
Not to be like a bitch, you know.
Would you go to officer training school?
It would have been an option. The option would have been to go through university with the RAF sponsoring me through it. So and then I would have continued on to become a pilot.
I knew a couple of guys from. Were you in the cadets at school?
I
Did
was
we
in the
discuss
cadets.
this? You were.
Yeah. I used to go fly. And
I was in the Navy cadets. A guy went
Did you used to go boat?
used to go boating on Wednesday afternoons. It was nice.
Did you? Yeah.
Learned to sail.
Oh, very good.
Badly. I can't sail now.
You're from near the seaside, aren't you?
It's about an hour. Yeah.
That's all right. So you could all get there.
We'd jump in a school minibus. They'd take us up. We'd get some little toppers out or lasers out, and we'd go sailing.
You'd all get really
fun.
cold.
Oh my god, it was so cold.
The UK is really bloody cold in the water.
And then you've got the dilemma. It's like, do I piss in my wetsuit?
Not in a borrowed one.
Oh yeah. What?
Was it yours?
Only in a borrowed one, dude. I'm not pissing in my own wetsuit.
I don't know if I've ever mentioned. I used to be a diving instructor, but you could, you knew someone had pissed in their suit. When as soon as you were washing it out, you're going, "Oh, this smells bad. This is
bad.
not good.
It's not good." As long as just the most important lesson: don't piss in a dry suit.
Yes. Oh, rash o'clock.
Yeah, not a good time.
Not good.
You want to open up that? Go back to the document. There's a second one because this amazing. I feel sometimes Reddit just delivers better than any news site can, because this is just absolutely glorious. Let's have a look.
Well, do you know what amazes me with Reddit is some of the quality of writing.
It's really good.
You think like some people just have nothing to do, but they come out with
they probably
amazing.
outsource their jobs to China.
Right.
So
what's
the
this?
title of this post? I can't believe it's only got 189 upvotes. But the title is "I don't do shit at work."
Nice.
I just read this until we get bored.
Yeah.
Let me say right up front that if any of this comes across as gloating, that's not how I mean it at all. I'm simply exhausting everything I can to combat boredom and get to 5 o'clock. I can't pinpoint exactly when it happened. There was a time when my job was chaotic. Ad sets were large and I was working on them constantly. There were some nights around holidays when I was getting in at 7 a.m. and staying until 9 or 10 a.m. p.m. at night. Co-workers were funny. I didn't love the job, but it was not boring. And it wasn't too easy. Reorganizations happened. My responsibilities changed or were compartmentalized. People left. New people came. There isn't any one thing I can point to or moment I remember, but gradually, over time, I slowly reached a point of not doing shit. It started with dwindling work, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes on to say, like, he just goes to the gym at work every day.
If it's a busy day, I have 60 minutes of work, which I can finish by 8:30. After going to the bathroom and coffee and my rotation of websites, I will check 500 other times that day.
It's pretty great,
but
right?
It's kind of great, and it's also horrible. Can you imagine having a job where you do nothing?
The closest I came to this. Do you hear that humming in your earphones, by the way? Just a quick...
Slightly, like a...
Okay, we could probably filter it out later, or maybe it's not being recorded at all. Slightly concerning. Never mind.
Is it this note?
That's the note. You nailed it.
I think, I'm not sure. No, I can't.
So, where were we? So, there's this dude. The closest I came to having a job where I did nothing was I worked in a newsagent's when I must have best been like in between university.
Okay, yeah.
And it was a small newsagent's. It was busy, like in the morning, commuters would come in and buy their papers. But it'd be,
after school, 16-year-olds would come in and try and buy beer.
And steal shit, yeah. So it's like, guys, stop stealing stuff. Come on, stop stealing things. You're 17 years old.
It's
Come
worth
on.
20p.
Yeah.
Come on. Stop stealing the curly whirlies, man.
It wasn't too bad. It was an alright job. But for most of the day, it was pretty empty. So I just read the papers back to front, or every day. I'd just sit behind the counter. Someone would come in and be like, "Hi." And I mean, I was a good employee. Like, everything was immaculate. But it'd be like, okay, so the magazine's gone on the shelf. You check some off stuff. You put some stuff in the fridge. Everything was lined up perfectly. And then it's like, now I've got 6 hours to kill.
There's only so much you can do. I think that is sort of the problem with those sorts of jobs. I mean, it must be, like, for people that own these shops, it must be sort of... I think you have to get into a state of mind where you kind of like, right, I maintain the house and then I hold down the fort, and like you kind of got to just have it in your mind that I'm in place now, because I think you would go a little bit mad. I'm not sure. Like if there's any newsagent owners listening, like I'd like to know.
The guy who ran it, he was a businessman, so yeah. I think it was like, and he would sometimes work a shift there.
Which is why you worked there,
right? Which is why you employ like a 19-year-old kid to work in the store while you're off trying to start another newsagent or working on another business, because it's like, you are a businessman. He wasn't like he bought a newsagent's and that was like his life. It was just that's what
it was a business investment.
Yeah, and I respect that.
Oh,
I think that's cool. If you want to,
Very good.
But I mean, I had to go in at 5:30 every morning, and I live 10 minutes away. So I'd go in at 5:30. I'd have all these papers to sort and put on the shelves and all that stuff. And I don't know. That's okay when you're 19 and 20 or whatever. But if that was my business and I'd bought that business and I was like, oh shit, and and he'd have to do it sometimes, like if I wasn't there or there wasn't, the other person who worked there or anything like that. It's like, dude, if I'm like 40 years old and doing that, I'd be like, this kind of sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's not making you a fortune. And getting up at 5:30 is kind of painful.
Yeah, 5:30 is early. Like,
especially when you've got all the risks. Like running a business is
it's ballsy.
Yeah, because you're not getting a steady paycheck every month. If you don't make money, you don't make money. I don't know. It doesn't seem worth it to me. Anyway.
No, because I once held a job which I can only say is comparable in no real way to war, in that it was sort of it was an on the table.
Wait, is comparable to war or is not?
I was gonna compare it to war, and then I kind of like put them up on a scale next to each other and went, it's not really comparable to war. But in the
just trying to think things comparable to war, military contracting.
It definitely wasn't that, but I outsourced that to China. But no, it was basically sales off of a table. You'd have to get there at 8. You'd have to get to like a
table where?
Like a table. So we'd take a table with gifts and things like that we were selling, on the run up to Christmas. Sometimes it was like stompy, the stompy. What are they called? Slippers, the ones that you step on and the mouth goes up like that, for kids. Sometimes it was power banks and things like that. It was, I'm going to say, a bit of a dodgy deal. But it was all good stuff. It all worked and everything. But I'm not sure it was...
Did you have a license to set up the stand and stuff?
I think the dude did. The owner did. I hope.
Okay.
But he paid me, and I needed money, so it was all like sort of above table on my end. And
did you have to shout like, "Get your slippers here! Get your jumpy weird slippers"?
A little bit, yeah. It was that sort of thing. But basically, what it was is that you'd set up in the morning in, say, a shopping centre or something like that, and no one goes to a shopping centre in the morning. So you just stand for 7 hours until 6 o'clock when everyone is in the shopping centre.
Was it a nice shopping centre or a terrible?
It depended. It depended. You'd rotate because you didn't want to look too dodgy being on one corner the whole time. And
no, I mean like the shopping centre, because I feel there are two types of shopping centres in the UK. There are ones that are nice, like out of town shopping centres
or something like that,
and then there's Blue Water or that the big one in London.
Yeah, the Westfield.
Westfield, and these are nice. They're nice environments.
Harrods.
There's a nice food court in Harrods. There's that great sandwich place.
There is the famous sandwich place, isn't there?
Oh god, that's so incredible.
Yeah, I've never had a sandwich.
Oh god, now I really want a sandwich. So, and then there's also the ones that are kind of in the middle of towns that are really deprived and kind of smell of cigarette smoke, even though smoking was banned in them in like the 1990s. Hemel Hempstead, great example.
Luton.
Oh my god, do you remember that Hemel Hempstead tune?
Do you know I'm from?
Hemel Hempstead, the shopping centre, so good to be there, more for you.
I'm amazed I don't remember that because I'm from Kings Langley, which is a 5-minute drive from Hemel Hempstead. So that's I grew up around there.
Oh shit, I might be thinking of something else. It was some, I don't know. It was a shopping centre. It was pretty bad.
I'm gonna, if it was really bad, it was Hemel Hempstead. Like Hemel Hempstead, sorry Hemel, is just awful. Like it's the kind of place I walk into every single time I go there, and I do go there quite often because I have to like get things when I'm home. And I'll walk in, and I'll just go, nope, going to Watford.
Out, absolutely out. You want to look at one more? Let's just move on.
Move on. We're moving on.
I'm done with people outsourcing their jobs.